Morphin time!
You know, 25 years, can you believe that?
It's a pretty incredible thing. I get to go anywhere in the world and I hear how much people either love the show, myself, or one of my other castmates. It's mind-blowing.
Parents will say, well, you know, they started watching the new Power Rangers, but I had to stop them. And I said, no, 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 no. We're going to go all the way back to the beginning. This is the real Power Rangers.
In 1993, teenagers with attitude donned color-coded suits and helmets to become the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Saving the city of Angel Grove from the evil Rita Repulsa, her army of monsters, and even an evil Green Ranger that eventually turned good. And it was a milestone in 90s pop culture. Now, over 25 years later, we are still celebrating this series and the legacy of Rangers that followed. I'm Andre with SYFY WIRE, and today we're stepping into the Morphin grid to see how this phenomenon began from the cast that was a part of it from the very beginning. It's time to look back at Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It's Morphin time!
Where are we going?
We're gonna save the world! On paper, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers sounded like it could be a total TV failure. Blasphemy, I know, but think about it. A show in the 90s that mixed Japanese Super Sentai, hardly seen in the US, with American footage featuring unknown actors. I remember watching this show when it premiered, and I never wanted to miss an episode. And to be honest, I think I was actually older than the target age for this show. But something about the diverse cast and mix of action and comedy got me hooked. Just like younger kids were hooked on the bright colors, fancy weapons, and monster fights. And that music. Oh my gosh, that music. So with this random show literally being like nothing we've ever seen before, what made Mighty Morphin Power Rangers so popular?
You know, in the very beginning, I didn't know if it was gonna go 40 episodes.
Right.
You know, and then after we became the #1 hit show, I figured, okay, we got like 4 or 5 years of this. But 25 years? Nah, man, I never saw it coming.
Oh my gosh, what's happening? This is too weird. Hold on!
It's a little mind-blowing. 25 years ago, I remember thinking the TV series wasn't even gonna get picked up. Then it did, and it just became a global tidal wave. Here we are 25 years later, and I've got grown men, grown women that come up vibrating in place and tears and snot, and immediately I see their inner 5-year-old. It's one of the greatest experiences on the planet.
The show hit the air, man, and within week 1, we were #1. 40 countries around the world, can you believe that?
It's crazy.
The show was famous before the show came out. I was walking down the beach with my cousin, and these kids ran up on me and they're like, hey, yo, you're the Black Ranger. And I was like, yeah, I am. How do you know that? I'm like, the show's not even out yet. It comes out in 2 weeks. They're like, no, I bought your doll yesterday and your face is on the box.
I was at a toy store when the height of that popularity, and man, it was crazy. There were grandmas like fighting just to get those toys. It was crazy.
I know. Anybody that worked at the store, they had the up and up, and they're like, people were paying them secretly. Oh, yo, dog, give me a Black Ranger toy, man.
Those black market Power Rangers.
This day is too weird. What do we do now?
Want to start a debate? Here's what you do. Get a bunch of Power Rangers fans together and ask them, who's your favorite Mighty Morphin Power Ranger? I bet you within the crowd, every OG Ranger would get named, followed by a detailed explanation as to why. And Mighty Morphin Power Rangers also brings each fan some favorite episodes and moments. Some of my personal favorites: the first episode, Pudgy Pig, Pumpkin Rapper, that time Billy and Kimberly switched places, any episodes with the Rangers being bad, the arrival of Lord Zed in the primetime special, of course the 5-part Green Ranger miniseries, and when Tommy lost his powers and became the White Ranger, anytime Goldar speaks, when Titanus showed up and joined the Megazord and the Dragon Zord to become the Ultra Zord, that time when Kimberly talked like Rita,
You swine!
Zach's dance moves, when Tommy and Kimberly kissed, Bulk and Skull, no particular episode, just them in general. Oh, and that one episode where Zach the Black Ranger wore Tommy's shield, that was awesome! I've watched this show a lot. Yes! Fans can go on for days about their favorite parts of the characters or the show. But what about the Rangers themselves? What were their favorite moments and character connections?
Favorite episode, I like the Green Ranger series. You know, Evil with Green Ranger series, miniseries was amazing. I love the continuation parts. It was kind of like a soap opera for kids, you know, and people would run home and try to see what was happening next on Power Rangers.
The one switching places where Billy and Kimberly switched personalities was a lot of fun. It was actually one of the first scripts that was written. So even before we started filming, we rehearsed for like a month, and that was like one of the episodes that we were able to rehearse. And so we got to have a lot of fun practicing that one.
Look at the way I'm looking. My hair, my makeup. Yuck!
And the Power Ranger Punks was a lot of fun too because Billy got to be completely the opposite of what he would normally be. So anytime that my character got to deviate somewhat from being the ultra nerd was a lot of fun.
Hey, man. You're not the baddest dude on the block anymore.
I thought just overall, the Tommy character, the Green Ranger character, the White Ranger character, the way they branded him and just how cool the character was. He was on his own, he had his girlfriend, you know, there was a lot of stuff going on at that time. I lived day by day and I tried to put as much passion into Tommy as I could, and here we are 25 years later and I'll put just as much passion into him like I did with Draken and all the other series that we've done.
You're one of us now. Welcome aboard.
So I did an episode with Walter Jones. We're in the hallway scene, and I'm standing opposite Walter, and I'm looking at him, and there's supposed to be a spider that drops onto his shoulder. And he turns and, you know, freaks out. We had met the spider handler, and he had this big tarantula. It was as big as his hand. And he's like, yeah, man, don't worry about it. We're all good. I fed him like 9 cockroaches this morning. He's fine. There's not going to be any problems. Prior to this, he says, besides, you'll always know when they're going to attack because their front 2 legs come up, and that's how they scoop in their prey to bite them. So they call freeze. They come in, and he sets the spider down on his shoulder facing away from Walter. And I'm standing opposite, and we're all standing there freezing. Well, Walter turns around, Zach, and he lets out this, he screams. The spider didn't like having his butt screamed at. So he turns around immediately, and the front 2 legs came up. And I'm like, they said that's bad! They said that's bad! And the spider handler out of nowhere, like Indiana Jones, was like, shoo! Came in, swiped him off the shoulder, and that was it. And everybody's just like, he almost ate your face, man. I saw it. I swear to God, he was going to eat your face. So to make it even better, Walter at this time, after the episode, he decides, I like this spider. I'm going to name him Homie. And Homie came home.
Did this experience help you overcome your fear of spiders?
Oh, absolutely, man. I mean, I can positively say that is one problem I have overcome.
Homie the spider became a legend for years at our party house. It was kind of cool.
Get off! So this is what we talked about before, but I think it's very interesting because it's like, okay, so the black guy's a Black Ranger, but then at the same time it's like, but the black guy's a Black Ranger. So what was that feeling like? Because I mean, I'm sure people have told you like even as, like that's how I feel when I was watching you.
I felt like for people of color it was really inspiring. Overall, it was inspiring for everybody. I mean, you know, in the pilot, the Yellow Ranger was Latina. So at that time, it wasn't really such a big deal. It was like, oh yeah, that's okay, Black Ranger in the black costume, which I would have picked anyway. I'd have been like, any, meeny, give me the black one. But then later on, when we did the series, we had another Yellow Ranger, and she was Thuy Trang, and she was Asian. So then everybody went, that's odd. Huh, the Asian Ranger is in the yellow costume, the Black Ranger's in the black. What did this mean? Yeah. It means nothing. It just was coincidental.
Pterodactyl, saber-toothed tiger, mastodon, triceratops, Tyrannosaurus.
In the original show, we had the red, the black, and the blue was the guy that was nerdy. It just ended up being that way. That was the way it worked out. Right. But yeah, a lot of people have made comments about it, and in the end, it's all positive anyway. I'm a role model in 40 countries. It doesn't matter what color my suit is.
Ready to rock and roll.
Like many people, I remember watching Day of the Dumpster, the first episode of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers back on August 28th, 1993. But it wasn't until I saw a Power Rangers special years later that I found out an unaired pilot was made before the show came out. And the show was altered with some name changes and even a cast member change. But how did Power Rangers find its cast of heroes? And what did the actors think when they found out they were auditioning for a role like this? Remember, at the time, not only did they have no idea how popular this show was going to become, they had no idea what this show was even going to be.
I moved here to be an actor, and you know, there's a publication that goes out. It's called Backstage, and so I would look at it every week. And there was one for a show called Phantoms, and it was about 5 teenagers that were going to be superheroes. I originally went in to read for the role of Victor, who eventually became Jason, the Red Ranger.
I wasn't an actor. I was actually in high school. I was a teenager with attitude. I was teaching martial arts, and a friend of mine was an acting coach for commercial acting. And he calls me up and he's like, hey man, you should come check out my class and teach martial arts to some of my students, and in exchange, I'll give you commercial acting. And he goes, they're looking for 5 superheroes, teenagers with attitude. And I was like, no, not interested. And it spent 3 weeks going back and forth with this. Finally, he bet me $20 that I wouldn't be wasting my time if I went for the audition. I went, and I think I was told later something like 10,000 people showed up.
I went to a school of performing arts and studied acting and dancing and singing, and so being an actor is something I always wanted to do. And so when I booked the show, I thought, man, I got a show. I'm gonna be a regular on a show. Exciting, it's a kid show. So I was super excited, and the process was something I had grown accustomed to auditioning, except slightly different.
I had 3 auditions for that role, but I could tell that the producers and the casting director were sort of leaning a different way with actors. So I begged and pleaded, can I please read for the role of Billy? And they told me no, because they said, you just don't fit the character breakdown. It's just not the look that we're going for. And I said, please, I know I can do this. I'm an actor. I can be the role.
There was really no concept at that time. I was an actor. I was auditioning for what was called the Green Ranger. I thought it was a Forest Ranger, maybe thought I was fighting with Smokey the Bear. Got the audition, and at that time the whole cast was casted except the Yellow Ranger. So I auditioned with her, and next thing you know, here we are 25 years later.
And so what I did is I borrowed somebody's glasses. I knew I was right on some level for this show. I was a gymnast, so I had the physical ability, and I knew I could bring what I needed to bring to that character. And it was such a great character for me because Billy is so different than me, David Yost. Billy is ultra smart, and I'm just an average C student. So I got to learn a lot from my character.
The neutrino power grid must have crossed molecular.
The Green Ranger was only hired for like 10 episodes. I was told I was in and out, and that was it. And I did my job. I was so happy and blessed to show up and see the lights and the cameras, and you know, to see the costume. I was so amazed with the costume. I really enjoyed it, and you know, just seeing it, you don't understand what Power Rangers was all about.
What is he doing?
He's calling to the Dragon Zord with his flute.
Walking in on the audition, it was like, okay, so can you read the sides? And I read the side with the, the person in the room, and they were like, oh, that's great job. Okay, now can you dance? And I'm like, yeah, I can dance. So, can you show us a little something? Put on some music. I'm like, working out, doing my thing. Right, now that was great. Now, can you show us any martial arts? I'm like, wow, all right, martial arts. I studied Ishiru, and so let me show you what I do. Is I did a couple of martial arts, did a kata. Now I know there's not a lot of room here, but can you show us any flips? Bam, backflip, and they're like, oh, that's awesome. Now, can you put it all together?
The show had huge ratings, toys and merchandise were flying off the shelves, and the show's cast went from unknowns to household names. The Power Rangers were so big that a live Universal Studios appearance led to the shutdown of a Los Angeles highway. Traffic literally stopped for the Power Rangers.
In February of 1994, over 35,000 fans clamored to see the Power Rangers, gridlocking the LA freeway system.
It's incomprehensible still to this day to understand that people were so impacted by this TV show to that effect. So here we are in Los Angeles. We're told we're going to go to Universal Studios.
Originally, the show was supposed to be in the Wild West Stunt Show stage, which holds like 2,000 people. I did the Wild West Stunt Show as Felix Cassidy before I got powered. Yeah. So then we're on the way there, and they were like, listen, we got so many requests for people to come that we have to move it to the amphitheater. Now, the amphitheater is where Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston and Janet Jackson do their concerts.
People started showing up camping out the day before. So now they're thinking MJ, Madonna, Aerosmith, because those are the people that have people camping out the day before. And they ended up moving us to the biggest stage they had, which I think only sat at maybe 6,000 people. And we filled it up 6 times, sold it out. We broke Universal attendance records, and they still sent people home. The highway was backed up for 8 miles into downtown. It was insanity.
For me to be doing a Universal Studio live was pretty amazing. I used to spend a lot of money going to Universal Studios, and now here I'm actually going and entertaining people at Universal Studios, all of us, and we sold out show after show. We added 2 more shows.
We get there, we do our first show, and it's crazy. They say, he dons the power of the mastodon. He is Zach.
And I play Zach, the Black Ranger.
I took off my helmet, the crowd goes, There are lights everywhere. Everybody's taking pictures. I swear it was just like, in Star Wars or Star Trek when you hit warp speed. And the energy was crazy. I swear I got chills. I get chills thinking about it now. And we did that show, and it was over. We were like, that was the most amazing thing.
And I can just remember there was families like cousins and brothers and sisters, and there was one group, they were in a van and their van broke down like right as they were getting off the ramp of the freeway. They were crying and they couldn't make it to the show. I just remember feeling like, oh, that's so bad.
My name is Austin St. John. I play Jason, the Red Ranger.
You come out on stage, and it was like the biggest rock star moment we had. People just, Jason, Jason, chanting your name, your hair standing up on the back of your neck. It was intense.
CNN Tom Brokaw was talking about the Power Rangers shut down LA today. It was like, it was crazy. It was like, wow, we did that. And the thing about it is we still didn't know who we were. What are these?
Those are your power morphins. When in danger, raise them to the sky, calling the name of your dinosaur, and you will morph into a formidable fighting force known to one and all as the Power Rangers.
A 90s show, especially one aimed for kids and to sell toys, would be lucky to get a few seasons, and luckier to still be remembered by the time Y2K came along. Mighty Morphin Power Rangers not only had multiple seasons, but then continued to make many different iterations year after year with new powers and new cast members up to this present day. And you know a show is popular when it gets multiple movies, Happy Meal toys, parade floats, video games, a parody of the show on Animaniacs, and even other companies making copycat shows like Tattoo Teenage Alien Fighters from Beverly Hills. Just me? Okay. But when your face is all over TV, theaters, and toy stores, how does a Power Ranger handle such popularity? And how does it feel knowing that that love for the original Rangers is still here years later?
Welcome to the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers!
I really want to thank fans for their support for 25 years, because without them, I wouldn't be here right now. It's so crazy that we're here 25 years later talking about it.
You're now an official member of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers fan club.
It's amazing to me. The fan base, so strong after so many years.
It's really humbling for me to know that so many people have been impacted by my character, and that was such an honor the first time that I appeared at Power Morphicon, and that so many people showed up, and they waited in line for 5 hours, some of them, to get an autograph and take a picture with me, which is just crazy because I do see the impact that our characters had on people.
25 years, I think 40 countries, I don't know how many languages, but I've met a lot of people. They watched me on TV, but my voice was different. Because they put it in a different language and it wasn't me. I was in the Dominican Republic and I had these kids talking to me and my friend goes, hey, guys, you know, he doesn't speak Spanish. And they're like, what are you talking about? He speaks Spanish every day on TV. And I was like, oh yeah, there's that. Yeah, I don't know how to explain that. You know?
Whenever I go to a Comic-Con and I get to meet fans from all around the world, and that's what's so crazy about it, is that it's a worldwide phenomenon. I've been in countries like Venezuela and Ecuador and Brazil and Australia and London, like all over the place.
It seems like when it comes to the fans, you guys are there for them, and that fandom experience has always been
Oh, absolutely, man. You know, the thing is that we owe everything the show is to the fans. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the fans. And I can't tell you how amazing it is to go to almost anywhere in the world and just get loved.
I'm sad to admit this, but as I got older, I eventually got a little out of Power Rangers. Then it was one year at Anime Expo in Los Angeles that I was in shock to see a table filled with former Power Ranger actors. And they were there to advertise Power Morphicon, an entire convention dedicated to Power Rangers. Rangers, I'm back. There's obviously still Power Rangers toys for kids, but now there are special Legacy and Lightning Collection figures, collectible figures made for an older audience. Power Rangers Legacy! A PG-13 movie reboot premiered in 2017.
It's Morphin time.
While the recent wave of 90s nostalgia keeps the original series going strong.
Yo, what's up? I'm the Red Ranger. It's Morphin time and shiz.
For fans, the cast of Power Rangers are just as popular now as they were when the show first aired.
It's pretty amazing. It's very humbling, and we are so grateful to have the fans that we have because they are usually really kind-hearted people and happy people, and they give us props for that. They go, you know, I am who I am because of you. I was inspired to be a firefighter. I was inspired to be some kind of a superhero in some kind of way, whether that be a coach or in the military or some kind of a teacher of some sort, a psychologist, whatever, like, you know, adventurer. People tell us, I got the hunger to be who I am because I was inspired by you. And what a compliment is that?
To see parents with their little kids So you have little kids with their mom, and then their mom with their daughter who has a kid. So you got 3 different generations, especially at these conventions. So it's amazing to see a little 5-year-old and go, Tommy, I love you. It's like crazy, but it's amazing.
It's great because a lot of people like you are now parents.
Yeah.
And they've introduced their kids to the original Power Rangers. You know, like, it's interesting that they still love the original Power Rangers. So, you know, we still have our fans that start at 3 and 4 years old, and I actually come across tons of high school kids these days, like 16, 17-year-olds that are totally into the original Power Rangers. We have all these multi-generational fans, and I mean, who could ask for anything better?
I think I know more about you than some of my own family members.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I'm just kidding. No, that's very kind of you, Andre.
But
Thank you.
I really do appreciate it. So
Thank you
so much.
With all the odds stacked against you, you carried on like true superheroes and persevered.
Oh, it's constant conversation pieces. People come up all the time, and it's, you know, my fan with their parents who were forced to watch the show, and then their little ones. So we've crossed 3 generations now, and they'll come up, and then inevitably the younger fans are like, well, what do you think of the new TV series, or what do you think of the comic line with Boom? And I'm like, well, actually, I've been working with Boom. I've got all kinds of cool stuff that is getting ready to blow up. You know, people, they are so into it, and just the energy is mind-blowing. So I just sit back, and I hear some of the most insane stories, and I love it. I love it every day.
I think it would be amazing for them to bring us all back in some form, you know, some way. And I definitely would love to go and refresh my character and let people know what happened at the peace treaty.
The 3 teams from Angel Grove are Jason Lee, Zach Taylor, and Trini Kwan.
Yeah.
They did return.
And I've been missing for a while. They're like, where did he go? I was like, well, I'm back now. It's all that matters, right? So
Now it's hard for people not to know what Power Rangers is all about, if that makes sense, you know? I wanted it to become a household name, and it sure became a household name around the whole entire world.
Thank you, Power Rangers, for all the entertainment you've given me and all fans of Power Rangers for over 25 years. And for everyone out there in Ranger Nation, may the power protect you, always.